Thank you for joining me today for an episode of The 5 Things You May Have Missed. These are 5 news stories that I read this week that I thought you might want to share with me. So here's the 5 things you missed for the week of July 20th. Missing man was stuck behind coolers at supermarket for 10 years, Iowa cops say. Let me first say, Iowa was the place that people would always get mixed up when I say I lived in Idaho. I don't know if it's because they both begin with an I. Maybe they kind of sound the same. I don't know. Anyway, after 10 years, a family in Iowa finally got the answers to what happened to Larry Murillo Mercado, 25. Employees say it was common for coworkers to climb up on top of the coolers, and they believe that that's what Larry was doing when he fell behind in an 18-inch gap. So you mean to tell me after this dude fell into this gap, nobody else fell into this gap again, but employees were always up there? Was there no smell from the decaying body? Did anybody notice that Larry came to work that day, didn't clock out, and wasn't seen again? What does that tell you about the sanitary conditions of this store? No wonder it closed. Just think, you could have missed this. Judge who mouthed on one occasion and roared gets a 3-year suspension. What? What am I hearing? Fix that graphic. This story gets the what the fuck of the week. That's more like it. So, there is a judge named Len Kaczynski. This name probably sounds familiar because he represented one of the parties in the documentary Making the Murder. Well, he has been suspended for unusual interactions with his court clerks. Yes, I said clerks. Let me paint this picture for you. There's only 2 parties in this court, and the judge is one of them. The court meets 3 times a month on a Thursday, and at the most is 2 hours a session. The judge had a lot of time on his hands. Let's just see. The judge once hid behind a counter, jumped out and yelled roar one time in his office. This would not be so bad if this was the only thing that he had did. One time his court manager noted that he sat across his desk and did nothing but look at her, tap his pencil, and make cat noises for 45 minutes straight. There's a whole list of disturbing behavior inside this story. The link is attached if you want to explore it further. It even goes as far as there being a restraining order in which the judge promptly broke. He was only handed a 1-year suspension, but the Wisconsin Supreme Court promptly made it a 3-year suspension. 5 guys arrested at Five Guys restaurant in Florida. Justice was promptly served. Wow. Man, just making my job too easy. The Stewart police arrested. You're right. You guessed it. But of course the headline probably gave it away. There's an altercation inside involving these guys, so when the police got there, they all were taken to jail. But the real story is the Stewart police needed some ads on Twitter, and they didn't care who, what, when, why, where, and how. They just knew when they got there to that Five Guys, they were arresting 5 guys. Oh wait, this just in, the 5 guys involved in the altercation were the 5 guys that came up with the restaurant concept. No one else could be reached for comment. Florida man allegedly tries to carjack an elderly man and realizes he can't drive a stick shift. Jalen Alexander, 25, tried to steal a car from an elderly gentleman, but then realized it was a manual transmission, which just means anytime you hit 3 RPMs or above, you need to manually change the gears. What Alexander didn't realize is that this guy he tried to carjack was old enough to remember when this was a standard feature, not an upgrade to a car. Alexander tried to carjack this car until he realized it was a manual transmission. Then he tried a mulligan. He was like, "Psych, just kidding." Just like this was Tiger Woods or Grand Theft Auto. He then carjacked somebody with an automatic transmission, but was soon captured down the road and charged with carjacking, battery on a person over 65, and grand theft. Moral of the story, if you're going to be a carjacker, then learn how to drive cars. All cars, or do something else. Man tried to smuggle cocaine under his toupee, Spanish police say. Police arrested a man that arrived in Spain from Bogota, Colombia. You mean to tell me this guy made it all the way through security and got onto a plane leaving Colombia with this ridiculous rug on his head? Wow. Spanish police arrested an unidentified man as he got off an airplane in Spain because of looking nervous to suspicious oversized toupee. A half a kilo of cocaine in total was recovered. Tell me this. Why, after you make it onto the airplane in Colombia, did you not put this in a better hiding spot? Could have been a difference between getting away with this or not. There is no limit to the inventiveness of drug traffickers to mock controls, say the Spanish police. Thank you for joining me today for another webisode of the 5 Things You May Have Missed. As for me, it's back to the drawing board. I need to drop the plans for this new front porch I'm doing. So until next week, catch you guys later. Alexander tried a car drag. No one could be reached for content. To jail.